Well, MPPs have passed Bill 60 today, a housing bill that critics say is going to strip away tenant protections, accelerate evictions, and make homelessness worse in the province. And for more on the controversy surrounding Bill 60, let's go live to CP24's Beatrice Vaisman at Queen's Park. Beatrice.
Bakari, this piece of legislation was passed quite easily. Obviously, the Ford government has a majority here at Queen's Park, so it was passed. It's called the Building Faster Act, and you're right, it is a controversial act. In fact, over the weekend, we saw a demonstration right here through the downtown core to Queen's Park with people asking the Ford government to relent on this legislation. We're showing you now what actually happened in the chamber as the vote was happening. Several dozen demonstrators, many of them from a group called Acorn, were there to voice their displeasure with this piece of legislation. They were chanting people over profit and essentially shame on the government for passing this bill, which they say is going to eradicate rights for tenants across this province and increase homelessness as well. The minister in charge of this portfolio, the Minister of Housing, we spoke to him immediately after this vote passed, this piece of legislation passed, and we asked him specifically about how it will impact tenants, if it will cause more homelessness, if it will cause more evictions. He said essentially he's trying to balance the playing field, level the playing field for tenants and landlords. Here's more from Minister Flack.
This legislation deals with people that are the bad actors, bad landlords, bad tenants. The vast majority of Ontario renters live by the rules. They pay their rent. They pay it on time. This is about creating balance of the landlord-tenant board day in and day out so we can speed up adjudication. And look, we've doubled the adjudicators in this province, 40 to 80. We've added dollars for administrative process, and we've increased fines to bad actors, bad landlords. This is about balance and restoring balance of the landlord-tenant system.
So let's talk to one of the demonstrators who was in the chamber during that vote. I've got Marc Davignon here, the co-chair of Hamilton Acorn. Marc, this legislation passed essentially without any consultation. Is that why you felt compelled to be here in the chamber today?
Absolutely. This bill was put forward without any public consultation. And for that reason, we felt that there was a need to make our voices heard.
Tell me about why. What's your concern for renters here?
Our concern is that all of the amendments to the LTB in this bill will speed and ease evictions for tenants at all levels.
What about the bad ones who don't pay their rent for months and months and who cause, landlords to go into financial strain because of that too?
Unfortunately, there are bad tenants, but there are also bad landlords. And in the balance of things, it is always easier to throw out someone who is innocent than it is to throw out someone who is guilty. And that's what this bill is doing, is it's targeting people who are experiencing difficulties short term, who could, with a little bit of grace and compassion, return to an active and effective tenancy. But if the first step, if the speedy step is to evict someone, well, you can't unevict a person. But if you can make an arrangement with the tenant, make an arrangement with the landlord, with the building management, what have you, you can always retract an attempted eviction. But once someone is evicted, you can't unevict them.
The minister says all the protections are going to remain in place that already exist. Now they've shortened the grace period for not paying rent from 14 days down to 7. They've allowed landlords, if they want to take back their condo or house for personal use, to do so with 2 months' notice. Tell me why that isn't good enough. Why should, landlords have more grace for someone who's going to through a difficult financial time instead of saying, hey, you haven't paid for 7 days, you're out?
It's not good enough because, as I've said, once an eviction has happened, there's no unwinding that clock. If a landlord is having a serious and severe problem with a tenant, there are already remedies for that on the books. But these changes to the LTB speed up all evictions. They speed up, they ease the hurdles to putting people on the streets, regardless of whether or not their tenancy could be remedied or not.
Final question for you, Marc. The Premier, I don't know if you heard him as you were standing up blowing your whistle, yelling shame or profit, people over profit. He turned around and he said, go find a job. What's your reaction to that?
My reaction to that is that Doug Ford hasn't had to go looking for a job in a while. He has no clue the difficulties that people are facing. And if I had had his family's connections, I probably wouldn't have had to look for one either. But when he turned and looked at me personally, I looked him in the eyes and I said, you are putting people on the streets, because that will be the effect of this legislation.
Is it unbecoming of the Premier to say that to you?
I think it absolutely is.
Mark Davignon, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So certainly this is a piece of legislation, Macquarie, that is now passed. It's just awaiting royal assent to actually be enshrined into law. Back to you.
Okay, live from Queen's Park, CP24's Beatrice Vaisman.